It's Mike back with another episode of Mike's Trading Journey. And on this episode, we're going to talk about stocks that spike. And we are using Thinkorswim TOS charts to analyze these different stocks. So we're going to dive right into it. Right now, I'm looking at OGEN. And as you can see, like this thing had multiple spikes in it. Some gap ups, like this one kind of just gapped up. And if you move along, you'll see that this thing spiked here on 5.3. And then if you move here, this thing spiked on 5.8. When you have these different stocks that spike like this, man, you really want to watch them because you never really know when they'll spike. And so what you can do is set your alerts on them so that you can catch them when they make these huge spikes. But at the same time, you have to watch them closely if you're going to trade them, because once you get in that trade and it spikes up like this one spikes up, it could come down immediately. So it's good to have level twos going when you trade these different stocks, because with the level twos you can see where it's beginning to top out, and then you can kind of plan your exit that way. It's better to take profits when this thing is moving up while it's strong, moving higher and higher. You take your profits then, because then you'll be able to exit it. It'll be easier for you to exit the stock. So this thing had multiple spikes. I think this thing was spiking like in the afternoon time mostly. So it wasn't really a whole lot of morning spikes in it. It was a lot of afternoon spikes. Like it spiked here in the morning, but here it spiked at 1 o'clock, and here it spiked. It spiked in actually no on this one it spiked in the morning too. It spiked here in the morning and it spiked here in the afternoon. It had a spike here in the afternoon, and it had a spike here in the morning. So like you really want to watch them closely, so that you find these different times when they spike. Okay, so we're gonna go on to another one. SGLB. And it was another one of those ones that really spiked. And here it spiked in the afternoon between 12 and 1 o'clock. It had a spike on this day, on the 2nd, and then it had another spike in the afternoon on this one on the 11th, and then it had another spike on this one in the afternoon on the 22nd. So like with this one, when you look for the spikes, you can tell like 9 times out of 10 it'll spike in the afternoon. So you really want to be looking for it to spike in the afternoon whenever you do get a spike on it. And here it actually spiked in the morning, so it had a morning spike, which you'll see the volume begin to come in. Whether it's in the afternoon or in the morning, you'll see that volume come in, so you'll know when it's about to spike. So you kind of want to watch for those. If you take a look at this one, SGLB, I'll go a little closer. It traded like a similar pattern as OGEN did. I think it was on that same day, but if not, it was like a day or two apart. But I think it was on that same day. They traded almost exact patterns, man, where it had this like huge spike and then it just faded out. Both of them did the exact same thing. Man. Like I said, I think it was on the same day, but it had this huge spike and then a fade out. Okay, we're gonna go over, take a look at another stock, which is SUMR. SUMR. And this thing had multiple spikes in it as well. It's morning spike on this one. On the 7th, it had pretty good spike on it from 76 to 122, but then it faded. So like again, like when you see these things and you do get in on these spikes, man, you want to take your profits like right up in here, man. You know, and you can kind of tell because once you see this thing has really extended, even like if you look down here on the RSI, you see like this thing is way overextended. It's over 80 on the RSI. So when you see that, man, you see it getting that high and overextended, you want to make sure you're exiting that trade like soon before this thing starts to come down again, and it becomes harder and harder to get out of it and still take up profits. So this thing faded again, and it had like a small spike here in the afternoon, but nothing significant. And then it faded, and then it had another spike on the 24th, and it spiked pretty decent from 91 up to 154. But then again, it just faded out again. So like you really want to watch for that when you are trading these things again, man, to take your profits quick so that you don't end up losing as this thing comes down. So I'm going to go over to another one. I think this might be the last one. SB, which was another really good stock that spiked. It looks like it came down from some sort of place. I don't really know, but it came down here, and then it had a spike on the 2nd, spiked up. It held its highs and did a little consolidation right here. Spiked again on the 4th, little consolidation, but it was actually moving higher. And then it like hit this point here, 337, and it just kind of faded out. Which in some cases, like you'll feel like sometimes that this thing is done because it did like fade out here, and then it had another like small spike from 308 up to 322, but then it just continued to fade out here, and it faded out all the way down to like 295 or something like that, and then it hit 295, and then it had this crazy huge spike from 304 to 376, which is kind of random, unless it had like some kind of news or something on it. That was pretty random. But like I said, it could have had some kind of news on it or something that made it spike like that. So yeah, guys, this is it for this episode. You guys can like and subscribe, show me a little support. That would be cool. And I'll see you guys on the next one.